Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online series 9 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're using Physical Coalossal. Now, we featured Coalossal a bunch on the channel in the last couple of months. It's really been one of the most dominant Pokemon in team archetypes, but I've actually never used Physical Coalossal. This was built by a player called Jude, who was able to actually get number 1 on the ladder with a variant of this team, so congratulations to them. I've linked their socials down in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste. And yeah, Physical Coalossal is really interesting because, you know, one thing that has been really common in the last couple of months is Light Screen and Reflect Grimmsnarl, but in the best of one, you'll never really be able to identify, like almost everyone will assume like Coalossal is special until they see otherwise, right? So against Grimmsnarl specifically, they'll often like to go for something like a Light Screen immediately against Coalossal, to which you can just one-shot them with Physical Max Vocalith, and then the Light Screen is basically completely wasted. So it's a cool answer against that. There's also a lot of Assault Vest users in the format, like Glastrier and Celesteela, and so Coalossal doesn't have to care about their Assault Vests and really can just, do more damage with the physical attacks. So Physical Coalossal, definitely really interesting. You've got your classic Dragapult, Urshifu, Rillaboom core to support it. That is really super standard on most Coalossal teams. And then finally, there's actually support Wacomberry Togekiss as well as Life Orb Spectrier. So Togekiss has definitely been making a comeback in the format, which is really interesting. You know, it was very dominant in the beginning of Sword and Shield, both support and crit kiss, and then kind of fell off a little bit, but then now has really been like making a surge, or it's been making a comeback in the last couple of weeks. And it's a mix of either support Togekiss or even the crit kisses, and some Coalossal teams even run crit kiss. And so, yeah. This Togekiss is very supportive. No Protect here, but yeah, I love having Yawn. I think Yawn is just such a good item on such a good move on Togekiss. Helping Hand is standard, Follow Me is standard, and then, you know, Dazzling Gleam is also very good. So sometimes you'll see Protect on support Togekisses, but I really like this moveset, and it's bulky enough where, like, you don't really need Protect on it. And so, yeah, this just gives you so much utility. And then finally, Life Orb Spectrier. I mean, there's nothing too wild about Life Orb Spectrier. You all have seen it before, but it's nice on this team because it helps against, like, Trick Room matchups specifically, depending on how their teams are composed, right? Because like Spectrier can one-shot most of the Trick Room users with something like a Max Phantasm. So yeah, one of those other reasons I wanted to feature Coalossal just like one last time is because when we move into Series 10, obviously there's no more Dynamax, and so Coalossal is going to be far less common than than it had been in this format. I wouldn't be surprised if some people still explore strategies around just regular Coalossal, but it's definitely not going to be the same as how dominant Coalossal was in the previous couple of months. So one other thing I want to talk about quickly is, on Road to Ranked, I like to feature a wide variety of teams, and sometimes I like featuring teams that, use really niche Pokemon, maybe more oriented towards best of one play, maybe not as consistent, and sometimes I like featuring more standard teams that can just net you a lot of wins, right? I like having a wide mix of those teams on the channel because, everyone watches the channel for different reasons. Some people like to watch just for pure entertainment. Some people really want to see, like, what's relevant in the meta, what can get them a high ranking on the ladder, and so that's why I try to mix it up every now and then. I know that sometimes I use more standard teams and people are like, oh, like, why are you using like just boring Pokemon? Like, we see this all the time, but that's part of the reason, right? I do try to mix it up. I do try to have a wide variety, but I also really want to offer teams that are really consistent, really strong, and can, help you climb and learn the game at a faster pace. Because if you're trying to play Pokemon at a high level, your team choice is really important, and building a very good team, especially when you're new to Pokemon, can be really, really difficult. So that's why, when beginners are getting into the game, I often recommend them to just try out a team that is has been proven as successful, even, whether it be standard or not, has the options for you to win, right? Because even the best player in the world, and it's storming, by the way, so if you hear some background, that's background noise, it's because there's a really big storm going on outside right now. But my point here is that I think that for some of the teams I feature on the channel are harder to execute than others, and teams like this that might look a little bit more standard are often easier to execute, making it easier to get the hang of when you're a newer player. So just kind of wanted to quickly bring that up because I have noticed that sometimes when I use more standard teams, like, there are some comments like complaining about it, and I just wanted to kind of explain the logic there. So either way, thanks once again to Jude for the team. Details for the team are in the description below. I've been rambling on long enough, so let's get started. If you enjoyed, please share support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And with us using Coalossal, I want to know what Pokemon you think deserve a Gigantamax form. I got a root for Flygon here for sure, so that would be my answer. But anyway, let's get started. Alright, getting into the first match of the day. Another Blastoise team. Okay. After losing to Thundurus Blastoise yesterday, by the way, people were asking me if I dyed my hair blue, and it's just kind of the saturation on the camera. So it does. I just realized how blue it looks right now with the current lighting. So try to play around with it later, but I don't think it looks that bad. Just definitely looks interesting. So they do have Intimidate with Incineroar, but here's the other cool thing about this team. Like, there's so little incentive to actually bring Incineroar unless you knew it's Physical Coalossal that, like, it's going to be left on the bench more often than not, right? So that works to our advantage. Eerie Impulse Thundurus, definitely a possibility. Blastoise is obviously pretty scary with the Cannonade. Thundurus Blastoise outright as a lead definitely concerns me a little bit. Thundurus Blastoise. Honestly, like, I'm thinking we go Togekiss plus Coalossal so we can follow me Volcalith. Oh, wait, what am I saying? Why do I need to be... Why am I worried about Eerie Impulse when we're physical? Yeah, okay. I can go Dragapult, Coal, Surf, Flare, and then Volcalith. And then who do I want in the back? Probably Rillaboom plus Urshifu here. Spectrier is actually not a bad bring, specifically for, like, Life Orb Shadow Balls into Celesteela. Like, Celesteela does scare me a little bit here, because I think it's, like, a good late-game win condition for my opponent, so we'll see. But, yeah. I don't know, if they go Thundurus plus Blastoise... Yeah, I think I would just go Surf Flare turn 1, and then turn 2. Turn 2, I could actually Max Guard Light Screen, and then turn 3, Volcalith. Yeah, they go with Thundurus Blastoise. That's kind of what I was expecting. So this is the other advantage of using Physical Coalossal, right? Yeah, so I do think I'm... I mean, what's the alternative? I can Light Screen and actually switch out immediately into, like, Rillaboom. It's actually not a terrible option. I just don't know how much, like, Life Orb Cannonade does to us in the sun. Like, I wouldn't think it's enough to KO, but what if it is? So then the alternative is we switch out into Rillaboom. I set up a Light Screen. I take chip damage. The thing is, like, I really just want to get Coalossal activated immediately. So yeah, I think I will just max, go for the Max Flare, and then go for the Surf. But the fear is, yeah, Cannonade plus Surf actually does enough damage to just knock us out, even with the sun being up. If that's the case, then this is just not a good play on my end. I'm expecting to survive, but if this actually KOs... Oh, I totally missed what's coming. It's just going to be Thunder Wave, Dragapult, Cannonade. Yeah, that's definitely the play my opponent's making. I don't know why I didn't think about that. That will just win them the game immediately. So I'm assuming they went for that. Like, it'd be very bizarre not to. It's just by far the best play to make right now in this position. So, yeah. Unless they were, I don't know, nervous about an ally switch. But I just, like, I needed to consider T-Wave. Wow, that's really loud. But they go for Eerie Impulse. Okay, so we get bailed out a little bit there. But this is not a good play on my end. Even though this will end up probably working out for us on turn 1. Oh, never mind. Surf does way too much there. Because we crit ourselves. Yikes. That's not good. Oops. I dropped a quarter there. Yeah, I think we're definitely fainting to Cannonade even with the sun being up. So maybe it was better just to Volcalith than just trade Coalossal turn 1 for the rocks. It's not a bad trade. I mean, if we survive this turn with Coalossal, we're actually in really good shape, but that crit's actually really... Oh, I say it's really bad, but I'm guessing... Like, it might not have even mattered, TBH. Oh, wow, that is really interesting. They went for Hailstorm. Oh, I see. So their play was to cover specifically for Special Coalossal and the Rillaboom switch in. So that play is actually super, super smart, but because we're Physical Coalossal, like, this is the perfect demonstration of Physical Coalossal really bailing us out here, right? My opponent just, like, that play always works if I am Special Coalossal. And in fact, it's a really, really smart play. It covers every combination of attacks I could have gone for that turn. I still think, like, the risk of going for T-Wave and Cannonade is if you just miss outright. But, like, that turn 1 could have been really disastrous. My opponent made a play expecting Special Coalossal, and once again, this is the beauty of the element of surprise. The thing is, with Physical Coalossal, even if your opponent knows you're physical, you can still gain, like, really big advantages, right? So I think I'm actually going to max guard here in Light Screen, and the reason for this is because I'm expecting Coalossal to faint anyway, and so I'm just maximizing my turns of Volcalith, basically, right? Max guard into Light Screen here is super safe. Yeah. So we could have really just lost the game on turn 1, and so I don't, like, love my play. Oh, okay, they actually bring in Incineroar. Okay. I like that play. So they actually brought Incineroar in the end, but honestly, I'd rather see that because this means they don't have the, the Celesteela, and Celesteela was mainly what I was nervous about. Okay. So we get Light Screen up, that's good. Breaking Swipe will actually do a sizable amount of damage into Incineroar. They're going to Cannonade into us, perfect. And now we can just one-shot the Incineroar. And with a Volcalith and the Rillaboom in the endgame, I think we should have this locked up. Like, whoever made the correct call on turn 1 was going to win this game. But the thing is, with Coalossal, like, you don't want to typically take risks. And I didn't think we were at risk because I just didn't think about the Thunder Wave play, quite frankly. Honestly, like, Cannonade might have just knocked out our Coalossal anyway. But yeah, you know, if we were just special Coalossal and you just bring us down to neutral, like, we're not that scary, right? So that, like, yeah. But the thing is, I could have just so easily lost the game immediately. Anyway, I'm just going to Volcalith here. What do we have in the back? Rillaboom and Urshifu. Perfect. Yeah, we can just Breaking Swipe here because Rillaboom at this point should win the game by itself if we knock out the Incineroar. Oh, they actually have Protect on Incineroar, though. Okay, that actually changes. I said that with the assumption that Incineroar was not going to be able to protect itself and it would just faint after this turn. That definitely makes the matchup a little bit more interesting. Okay. So this is definitely not over yet. I think, yeah, my opponent actually having the... It's not Weakness Policy, right? Okay, yeah. But my opponent actually having the Protect changes the outcome of this. Because the thing is, if Incineroar faints there, then you have to bring in Tapu Koko, I can bring in the Urshifu, and then I just guarantee win the Terrain War at that point in the game. Granted, I can still bring out Urshifu safely right now, right? So we're not even in that bad shape, but yeah. We have Light Screen up as well, so Koko's really not that scary, and it's a very free switch into Urshifu, so this should still be a win. But that's the thing, like, once again, in Pokemon, so much about playing, especially in Best of 1, is you make assumptions. All about Pokemon is making assumptions, right? So you make plays based off what you think your opponent is going to have, right? And so once again, like, I always talk about the element of surprise, especially in Best of 1, and us being physical Coalossal saved us here, basically. It's raining even harder right now, so you get some rain VGC ASMR. Anyway, we're going to bring in Urshifu here. I'm just going to Surging Strikes into Incineroar. Breaking Swipe, I think. Because I really want to win the Terrain War. And if we get a knockout here, and we will get the KO onto Incineroar, or if you switch into Tapu Koko. Yeah, there's really not much my opponent can do, I think. But, yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised to see Incineroar in the back. I was really nervous about a regular Celesteela in the endgame here, but we'll get Breaking Swipe off here. Okay. I could have close combated into Blastoise, but they could have switched Blastoise out. It's interesting to let its, like, Citrus Berry, or Bulky Berry Incineroar, Figgy Berry, with Protect. Normally, because, like, you expect the berries, but Protect isn't exactly that common. You want Fake Out, Flare Blitz, Parting Shot, and then, like, Taunt is super common. So if I had to guess, they gave up Taunt? Maybe they gave up Parting... No, Parting Shot's just so good on Incineroar, though. Yeah, I really feel like you can't give that up. Probably Blizzard here. Yeah. Okay, no problem with me here. Like, Rillaboom should seal up the game, and yeah, the Light Screen is just so good for us here as well. No freeze. Wow, that is super loud. Hopefully that, yeah, doesn't startle you guys too much. I really do apologize, but it's been kind of raining all day since I finished work. Beautiful. So now Rillaboom should seal up the game. This game kind of reminds me of yesterday, though, where, like, I had the favorable matchup against my opponent, and then just, like, you know, didn't make what, like, was probably my safest play and got punished really heavily for it. Maybe they didn't have T-Wave on Thundurus, and the thing is, like, T-Wave is a little bit risky, because if you miss there, it's actually pretty bad. I think, you know, so few players would actually stay in with Coalossal against Blastoise, and to be honest, like, I don't think my play was very good. I want to do the calc right after this game, but I'm pretty sure we faint. Okay, wait, sorry, let me just think this through right now. Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing my opponent can do, right? I can just Protect here, go for a Surf, I guess, and then just bring out Rillaboom. Like, Rillaboom seals up this game for us. And that's why I wanted to stagger the Volcalith damage, by the way, as well. But, like, the reason why that might have been the smartest decision was because of the fact that the, like, if I know their Life Orb and I know that my Coalossal's going to faint turn 1 even with the sun being up, then it's better to just Volcalith anyway, just to guarantee it, right? When you're playing with Coalossals, often it's actually worth it to just get a knockout and get the Volcalith off. even if it means Coalossal faints on turn 1, because like Rillaboom or Urshifu are really reliable late game damage dealers as well, especially into a lot of teams that you'll go up against, where Coalossal has like a good early game. Okay, no more hail. Perfect, and yeah, this whole setup was for Rillaboom at the end of the day. But you could see if I actually went for the light screen, well, if I went light screen turn 1, I guess it's fine, because like then Hailstorm doesn't KO us anyway. And then I could have gone for Grassy Glide, because I'm just thinking like what my actual best play was, and it honestly probably was to just light screen and switch out. Although I guess if they no, you're never going to T-Wave in Hailstorm though, I don't think. Well, I guess I shouldn't say never, but we can just Grassy Glide and Aqua Jet here, and that should finish off Koko. Koko's never going to win the 1v1 against Rillaboom. So there's Aqua Jet, nice damage, and Grassy Glide to finish things off. Nice. Alright, not bad. Yeah, the main calc I was wondering is if we didn't crit ourselves with Surf, whether or not we would have survived with Coalossal. So I want to double check that really quickly. But let's see. Because I'm thinking, honestly, we would have fainted anyway, even without the crit and the sun being up, because they're Life Orb. And if that's the case, then, like, I don't know. I think I have to make the switch turn 1. Like, we won the game, but, like, that play does not work out very frequently. This is another great example of, like, winning, but not feeling good about the win, right? And how you can learn from your games, even when you've won. You can always analyze and see what you could have done better. So let me pull up the calc and see what the damage would have looked like. Yeah, and the answer, as you can see here, is that Max Geyser, assuming it's Life Orb, we don't have any bulk on the Coalossal, does 82 to 97%. So the interesting thing about turn 1 is that that's an example of, like, you know, how many players would actually just attack with Coalossal in turn 1, right? Sometimes the way you can win with Coalossal is exactly what we did, where, like, your opponent just reads super hard into a switch-in because, like, so few people in their right mind would actually just stay in there. And, like, I made the turn 1 play thinking it was safe to make, but yeah, I kind of just underestimated Blastoise's damage output, and like, I think, I mean, even if the Surf doesn't crit us, like, 81%, like, I think Surf would have done, you know, at least 20% to us, right? So, yeah. I think in retrospect, the better play to make turn 1 was to just light screen and switch out into Rillaboom. Yes, they would have actually nailed me with the Hailstorm, but I think with light screen being up, they wouldn't have one-shot us, and then going from there, we can just at least pressure with a Grassy Glide onto Blastoise the subsequent turn, right? And then, the main thing I was nervous about was a late game Coalossal, but to be honest, if you think about that matchup, once Blastoise is out of the way, even if, like, Coalossal doesn't get the weakness policy and Steam Engine activated, it's still pretty decent, especially when you look at what my opponent actually brought, right? They had Thundurus, the Incineroar, and the Tapu Koko. And so they actually had very few answers into Coalossal, but that's why as soon as turn 1 happened, like, we had basically won the game. But yeah, like, I don't love how I played that turn 1. The assumption of thinking we were going to survive a water type attack was kind of bad. Like, I had, you know, fallen into the mindset that, like, we would be able to survive, because in previous, you know, earlier months with Coalossal, like, you'd go up against stuff like Rotom Wash and Primarina, and those, you know, don't have as strong of a Max Geyser as Blastoise does, right? Blastoise is going to typically have a base 150 Max Geyser off Water Spout or the Hydro Cannon, and so it's a little bit stronger, and it runs the Life Orb, right? If you take away the Life Orb, things do change a little bit, right? But almost every Blastoise in the format right now is Life Orb, so it's like if we're expecting the most common Blastoise set, my turn 1 play isn't super smart. That's an example of how a play can work out, though, because your opponent didn't go for the worst case scenario, but the thing is, if they had just went like T-Wave Cannonade turn 1, we would have just lost the game instantly, and it's not worth risking losing the game off turn 1 if you can play around it, right? And I absolutely could have played around it by making a switch in. In fact, I even could have potentially considered switching in Urshifu, although I think light screen and switching into Rillaboom is fine there. So yeah, it definitely, you know, shows you the power of physical Coalossal, though. My opponent wasn't expecting it. It single-handedly just won us the game on turn 1, basically. So we take those. Getting into the next match here, I recorded 3 games, and then I found out just now that the last 2 did not have audio, or did not have my microphone. For some reason, my microphone just, like, stopped recording. I don't know if it's because of, like, the storm, like, messing with the power just for a brief moment, but yeah. So, it's a shame. That is the tough thing about content creation. Sometimes you run into technical difficulties, but we're going to play a couple more games here. So, really cool team here from my opponent. You know, I love seeing Cresselia Heatran. Really brings me back to 2013. But Cress Heatran, Arctozolt, and Ninetales, and then finally Gastrodon plus Rillaboom. This actually is an example of where we could use Spectrier. They don't have a single Ghost Resist either. So, yeah, I actually think we feature Spectrier here. I mean, Cole's not bad. But, like, I could just so easily go Togekiss Spectrier here. The interesting thing is, like, Coalossal can still work in regular form, right? Like, I don't necessarily need to Dynamax it. I know it seems counterintuitive to bring both, but it actually could make some sense here. Dragapult could set up Light Screen. It's actually not bad here, but I think Spectrier is just amazing here. So, let's go Spectrier, Togekiss, Rillaboom. I honestly kind of still want to go with... Okay, but if I'm bringing Rillaboom... Like, Coalossal's not even ever going to get Steam Engine activated. But maybe I don't need it to get activated. Nah, Urshifu's just a safer bet, I'd say. Alright. So, we'll leave Coalossal on the bench. But I'm glad I get to feature this mode of the team, right? Because, like, I think if you see this team... When people think Coalossal teams... Or, sorry, I guess, like, when people often see Coalossal teams, they often think, like, oh, it's just about Coalossal. And Coalossal is going to, you know, be the primary carry. But, like, you know, every good Coalossal team also has alternative options. For example, Galarian Moltres or Togekiss. So, yeah. They're going to go with Gastro plus Cress. Okay. My only fear is Ghost Resist Berry, but it's so rare. Like, I can just Helping Hand Max in Phantasm. The thing is, if I knew what item the Cresselia had, I would always go for, like, whichever, like, one of Taunt or Max Phantasm. Whichever one, like, doesn't have an item to stop it. Now, Cresselia is also, you know, might consider running Dark Berry, Dark Resist Berry, Citrus Berry, Goggles. So, like, I feel like this should work out most of the time, but if it actually ends up being Ghost Resist Berry and survives, that's going to be a bummer. The thing is, there aren't that many strong Ghost-type attackers in the format, but, like, Dragapult and Spectre alone are so, like, such big threats that I could see my opponent having a Ghost Resist Berry just for that. Especially with the confidence to lead it into a Spectrier here. But, I don't know, if they're Mental Herb Crest and I taunt into it, then we're also in really bad shape. Even if they get Trick Room up here, it's not the end of the world, to be honest. But if they don't get Trick Room up, I don't really see how they win the game. Wait, that's Gastrodon maxing right now, Cresselia. Cresselia maxing here would be wild, but I actually am a big believer in offensive Cresselia, as I won Nationals with it way back in 2012. It's one of my favorite sets. But yeah, it's going to be Gastrodon maxing. I mean, I don't think Dynamax Cresselia or offensive Crest makes much sense in a format with Urshifu. But Gastrodon maxing isn't that scary, because like I'll get defense drops, and every defense drop means I can just Grassy Glide. So now, unless you're Focus Sash Cresselia, this should be a KO. Don't be Sash, please. Okay, good. And this is exactly why Spectrier is on the team. This is the exact kind of team composition you want to bring it against. Because Coalossal's not always going to help you. And Gastrodon is actually really one of the best Coalossal answers, right? Like, not only does your Aqua Jet get redirected, your Surf is going to give it a special attack boost as well. They actually go for Max Ooze, okay. Well, we should survive that. Nice. Nice, nice. Perfect. I mean, this is great, right? Because this is the classic, like, I've gotten my opponent to Dynamax something, like, I'm not that scared about, and I have a very reliable answer against the Gastrodon in the late game. So even if this thing gets a bunch of knockouts, I can attack around it, and with Spectre already being at +1, you know, I can just go for, like, Helping Hand Phantasm into whatever comes in. And the main thing here is that my opponent does not have a single Ghost Resist on their team. That's why in team building, having immunities or resists to specific strong typings is really, really important. They're going to bring Ninetales out. That implies, I mean, typically Ninetales is gonna have the Focus Sash, and we want to assume that they have Arctozolt in the back. Now, I can't change the weather, which is actually definitely a little bit of a nuisance. And I don't have Protect here either, but I think what we can do is probably just go for a Dazzling Gleam and then a Max Quake into Ninetales. Get a special defense boost, and then we survive a potential Blizzard from the Ninetales, and then Dazzling hopefully finishes off. +1 Max Quake should be pretty strong here as well. Oh, I could have gone for Max Strike, actually. Yeah, I think Max Strike was the better play here. Just drop its speed. Although, never mind. I think the Ninetales might still be faster, yeah, than the Togekiss, because Togekiss is like 100 speed here. Not base 100, just 100 speed stat. And I think Ninetales might be faster than that. It should be, actually. So I also like getting a special defense boost here on the Spectrier. Okay, so that's good. Yep, they just go for Blizzard. Hopefully no freeze. Togekiss takes that quite nicely. Perfect, no freeze. Great, and then we get the KO. Great. And a crit on the Gastrodon as well. I mean, yeah, like That's why the Togekiss on this set does run Super Luck. They go for another Ooze. Yeah, you don't want to Quake there, risking Follow Me. And Togekiss survives, but unfortunately the Hail's going to take it out. That's fine, though. Because I can just bring out Rillaboom now. This is where bringing Urshifu in the back... Like, do I actually bring out Rillaboom? It might actually make more sense to bring out the Urshifu. With Rillaboom, though, I can Fake Out, right? So I can Fake Out whatever comes in and then, like, double up onto it. Yeah, you know what? I'm down for that. Especially because, like, I can Fake Out Phantasm whatever's coming in. It should be the Arctozolt. Yeah. So even if the Zolt protects, I get a defense drop onto it. I mean, what's my fear here? Unless Arctozolt one-shot Spectrier. But, like, if Fake Out Phantasm just gets a defense drop... The alternative is just Glide Gastrodon Phantasm. But I'm worried about Arctozolt, like, one-shotting the Spectrier here. So, I think I will just go for Fake Out and Phantasm here. I also don't know if Gastrodon even has Hailstorm. If you're only oozing, Rillaboom actually survives, too. I could also Quake. But I like the idea of getting a defense drop, I think. And it should pick up a KO if they don't protect. So my opponent's in an interesting decision here. Oh, I also could have just gone Max Strike. I don't know my speed tier super well here. Okay, they go for the Protect. Well done. Well done. It's still fine. Let's see. I actually think we were probably fine off. Man, that's so much damage. We were probably fine off just going for the Glide into Gastrodon. And then just the Phantasm into Zolt. Yeah, they don't have Hailstorm. Okay. So they Quake. The assumption is what? You have Blizzard? Yeah, I'm really curious about what the moveset on Arctozolt is here. And whether or not Blizzard one-shots us. I mean, I wouldn't think so. But my opponent did make the correct read that last turn, so kudos to them. I feel like I didn't make the absolute best play. Like, this game should have been a wrap after turn 1, but... the way they timed it was really... Yeah, the way they played that last turn, like, keeps them in it. Let's see. Alright, -1 defense. Play I want to make here is honestly to just Woodhammer. I don't think Blizzard should one-shot Rillaboom. And then Urshifu should always win the endgame against Gastrodon. But the alternative is to Protect here, right? Actually, I should Protect to scout out for Protect from Gastro. Yeah. So Protect here, and then just go for a Shadow Ball onto this. Okay. Let's see, is it Blizzard? It is Blizzard, okay. I'm fine with Blizzard, TBH. Yeah, that's not an issue. Another good call to not protect Gastrodon that turn, though, so well done. Let's see, Recover would be really interesting here. Oh, it is Life Orbed. Clear Smog as well. Well, that makes sense, obviously. Yeah, my main question is whether or not Grassy Glide KOs the Zolt from the range that it's at. But we've gotten 2 defense drops on Gastrodon, so Close Combat should KO that. But, like, Hail is still up. Hail is still up. How many turns of Hail are left? Because if there's only 1, then we can just protect Urshifu, and then Urshifu will win the game for us, I think. This thing being Life Orb is actually an issue, because I think it might one-shot Rillaboom. Still 2 turns of Hail. Does Woodhammer KO you at -1 defense? Obviously here, they could protect Gastrodon. I think, like, I would protect Gastrodon. No. We have this wrapped up if we just Grassy Glide and CC, right? If you protect Gastrodon, you KO Urshifu. I don't even know if they have Protect on this thing. You KO Urshifu, but then Rillaboom wins the 1v1. Because we have Focus Sash. And if you Blizzard here... You need a freeze, because then Urshifu Close Combat just knocks you out, even if you protect Gastro. Okay, I don't think they have Protect on Gastrodon. They didn't go for it at all. But what's your moveset then? Wait, did they go for it at any point? I don't think so, right? And they just Blizzard, yeah. So they're hoping for a Blizzard Freeze here. But the thing is, chances of a freeze aren't that bad, right? Let's see. Okay, no freeze. Like, this ended up being a game in which we won 90% of the time, but I don't know. I mean, those odds are still pretty good. I just wanted to cover the worst case scenario, but I think when I had Rillaboom out, I could have just clicked Grassy Glide. Yeah, I just get disconnected. I don't know if Zolt... Like, I was nervous about Zolt one-shotting Spectrier the turn we were maxed. But if it doesn't one-shot... Like, it gets access to Bolt Beak, right? But I guess I've seen more special Arctozolts than physical Arctozolts. I'm just double-checking Arctozolt as a Pokemon, because I don't know very much about it, even though we used it, like, a while back. This thing does get Bolt Beak, and it's only base 100. But it's base 55 speed, so the correct play was always to fake out and max strike in that position, because I'm pretty sure after a max strike, the Spectre will outspeed. So that was the way to win the game 100% of the time. There's no way for my opponent to win after that. That's just objectively the best play. I was thinking I'll get a defense drop there, but the defense drop doesn't really matter very much. Curious if Rillaboom, Glide, like how much that would do. But yeah, either way, I think if we had just close combated, if we had just gone for the max strike, it would have basically been a done deal. Because then Spectre can just Shadow Ball for a KO the next turn and Glide. So, yeah, the reason I didn't love the way that endgame played out is because we basically had a way to win 100% of the time, and by not finding that play immediately, partially just because I thought Arctozolt was a little bit faster, by not finding that play, then the issue was that my opponent actually had a win condition in the end, which was to freeze the Urshifu, and, you know, the odds for that aren't, like, super, super slim, and you don't really want to rely on a 90% chance to win the game when you can win 100% of the time, right? So, yeah. But this, like, that was me just, like, not really remembering Arctozolt's base speed. Yeah, and it's always weird when it's, like, they get 2 increased stages of speed, but you have +1, or bring them down to, like, +1, and whether or not you'll outspeed. But, yeah, Fake Out Max Strike would have always won us the game, no matter what my opponent did in that position. So, unless you crit, I guess, but if you crit, you still have the speed drop, meaning, does Urshifu outspeed Arctozolt? Urshifu, Arctozolt. For max speed, Arctozolt. If Arctozolt's also max speed. Oh, it's really close, right? I think the we should outspeed. I guess the question is whether or not the Arctozolt was max speed there. Yeah, if they were max speed, actually, they would outspeed us, I think, if I'm doing this correctly. But, yeah. So then Urshifu wouldn't have outsped, but then we still have the same position, right? It's still just Glide plus close combat, even if you crit us there. But then we're still at mercy of a crit. But then you'd have to crit twice. You'd have to crit Spectre, and then you'd also... Sorry, you'd have to crit Spectre, and then you'd also have to crit the Rillaboom. Or freeze the Urshifu. Sorry, not crit twice. You'd have to crit once and then freeze once. So that we could have maximized our odds a little bit better. It wasn't, I guess, 100% guaranteed win, but it was maximizes it significantly more and then decreases RNG significantly more. So yeah. All right, last match of the day. The good thing is, since I said yesterday I was having trouble winning games and being back and forth, I think I've technically, been like. We should have, game 2 yesterday, we only got the points because it was a disconnect, so that actually shouldn't have been a win. But, yeah, definitely I've been able to climb up the rankings a little bit, which is nice. Diggersby. Wow, there's actually there's like a Dusclops here, so I almost want to just go with Spectrier again. If I'm my opponent, what am I leading here? Incineroar plus Dusclops? Like, Spectrier Togekiss crushes it here. It just absolutely crushes it. And it should just be Urshifu Rillaboom. I want to see if I can actually fit Coalossal in, because Coalossal actually does a lot of damage with Flare Blitz. But then the thing is, I guess I need Rillaboom. Rillaboom's a must here, I feel like, because of Fini. Like, you have to bring Fini if you're my opponent. Well, not necessarily, actually. You could play towards Diggersby. Like, what if they support Thundurus, and they go Thundurus Diggersby? I mean, this still works, right? Like, the cool thing is getting defense drops to set up for Rillaboom. I'm going to give Coalossal a shot here. I kind of want to just try it out. It's probably not the correct answer. Like, I think Urshifu is just objectively better here, specifically because it has Focus Sash, but I think it adds some value. Like, the thing is, I really, really wanted to play, you know, like, go with Coalossal, but because they have Dusclops, I think I should just bring out the Spectrier. And this is exactly why. People are so conditioned to hard lead and heartbeat Coalossal. And so you can see why this team is really well constructed, because the Spectrier beats so many of the things that are often going to beat the Coalossal. And so it's very, very safe for us turn 1 to just go for Helping Hand and Max Phantasm. Really kind of a foolproof play. So we Max, we Phantasm, and Helping Hand. What's the worst case here? Oh. I know what the worst case is. They're going to switch Dusclops into Diggersby. Let's see if they actually brought it. If there's no Diggersby switching... Like, I think it's pretty likely Fini and Glastrier are the back two. Okay, they stay in, so I think we're good. But yeah, if Diggersby came out there, that would have been brutal. Although I think if Diggersby came out, then the next turn I can probably just go Max Strike and then Taunt. Or sorry, Max Strike and then Yawn onto Diggersby. So it's not even the end of the world, but... This is why Spectrier is a really important component to this team. And I don't think we've really seen too much of Spectrier plus Coalossal specifically up until this point. Beautiful. Yeah, this is just bye-bye Dusclops. This should just win us the game, honestly, on turn 1. Like, Togekiss with Helping Hand plus Spectrier. Like, one of my favorite leads from early VGC 2020 was Togekiss plus Dragon Ball. You just go Helping Hand, Phantasm, Helping Hand, Phantasm. And that just blows the game wide open, and Spectrier is even stronger in the sense that it gets Grenade boost as well, right? So, like, how do you come back from this if you're my opponent? Now, this game is not 100% won, right? Like, the last game was a great example of how I had a really early advantage, but then I didn't play perfectly, and as a result, gave my opponent a slight window of opportunity to come back into the game. You never want to give them those opportunities, but I didn't find the game-winning play, basically. Partially because, yeah, I'm just a little bit unfamiliar with Arctozolt, and that's the value, once again, of using something that you don't see very often, right? So, yeah. But obviously, we're in really, really good shape right now. They're just going to bring out Glastrier. Perfect. Okay, with that. Hey, we have Coalossal in the back. I am just going to go for Max Quake here onto the Incineroar, and I'm going to go for a Yawn onto the Glastrier. Yeah. The cool thing is then I can Phantasm the subsequent turn. And yes, like, Glastrier is a little bit scary because it can Snowball, but this is what I mean though, right? Physical Coalossal is actually really smart with this team, for multiple reasons. Now, one thing to note is that, like, rarely is it better to actually bring Coalossal over something like Urshifu, but the idea is, hey, like, I can get a Phantasm, I get a defense drop. Flare Blitz does increased damage, and it's guaranteed damage as well. Let's see if this one-shots Incineroar. It might be Assault Vest. Nice. Spectrier is so good. And what's interesting is I feel like we haven't really seen that many Spectriers recently, but yeah, I just love the Togekiss and Spectrier combination on this team. So smart. And this is why I wanted to feature it. It is just a really darn consistent team, and it's really difficult to cover for the Coalossal mode as well as the Togekiss Spectrier combination. So, yeah, with Yawn, unless you're Lum here, one Glastrier, this should be a wrap. But Lum is, like, not exactly the rarest item, right? So I could definitely see that being the case right now. Okay, they're gonna Hailstorm us. Do I want to just bring out Coalossal outright? What are the remaining Pokemon? Fini is probably what I'm expecting to see here. Oh, wait, if you're Fini... No, they're Life Orb, though. So you're not Lum. So now we know Glastrier will fall asleep after this turn. So here's what we do. We bring out the Coalossal, because there's a chance Rillaboom outspeeds Fini. If Fini should be their last one, I'm guessing, because it's their best answer against Coalossal, right? So then the thing is, we can change the terrain. We can just switch out Coalossal into Rillaboom, and then that changes the terrain, right? So then you guarantee fall asleep on the Glastrier slot. Yep, so it is Fini in the end. And yeah, that's like the only way my opponent can really win the game is if Glastrier gets one more turn off, I think. So we can just Phantasm into Fini here. That also gets us a defense drop, and then go out into the Rillaboom here. Unless my opponent one-shots... No, you can't one-shot both Pokemon here, because Fini just doesn't do enough damage right now, I think. So, I think this play always works out for us. But This turn was actually really critical, because if I had brought Rillaboom out first and we lose the terrain war, things actually get really awkward really quickly, so this is why you always want to think about how the terrain mechanics work. And that's why I wanted to Yawn. Like, the cool thing about Yawn is, you know, like, it's not like it gets rid... The Misty Terrain only applies the turn the Yawn is about to take effect, right? So, like, it's not like the Misty Terrain being set just cancels out the Yawn. It's still inflicted, and now by changing the terrain, what can you really do? Also, this should just one-shot Fini, right? They didn't protect the Fini. Yeah, beautiful. But the thing is, if I had brought out Rillaboom, right, they could just protect the Fini and then Hailstorm. We'd probably still win, even so, I think, just because, like, Fini was so useless damage-wise, but I'm not 100% confident on that. Also, the lighting has been so weird today just because of the rain and, yeah, the clouds coming in and out, and they end up quaking. Okay, perfect. Nice. I'm still thinking whether or not, like, Coalossal over Urshifu was the right decision. Coalossal actually would have won against Thundurus, whereas Urshifu is significantly weaker against Thundurus. In the end, it didn't matter, but it also was able to bait out damage from Glastrier, right? Which was pretty sweet for us. So, yep, now you fall asleep because we've changed the terrain to grassy terrain, which is perfect. Yep. And that should be a wrap. We got a defense drop on this. We still have Coalossal with Flare Blitz in the back. Yeah, there's really nothing my opponent can do. So I'm going to just Shadow Ball and Wood Hammer here. I'm just curious how much Wood Hammer does. With terrain, defense drop. I mean, it should KO from this range. There it is. Bang. Nice. Beautiful. This is, yeah, I mean, like, you can just see how important Spectrier is to this team. Now, the thing I think that's hardest is if you go up against Redirection that can survive a really big attack. Actually, Redirection in general, like, both this match and the last match, we ran into opponents that did not have Redirection users at all, right? No Clefairy, no Amoonguss, no Indeedee. If you're like Indeedee, Dusclops, Indeedee, Porygon 2, that, like, is a lead that almost guarantees Trick Room. There's almost no way to deny it, basically. So, it's Life Orb Glastrier, Leftovers Fini, yep. Lum, Thundurus. So it's interesting, they actually are offensive Thundurus with this team. Sash Diggersby. I think the key thing here is you can see my opponent would have brought 4 Pokemon specifically to counter Coalossal. They went Incineroar Dusclops hoping to go fake out Trick Room turn 1, and then you win the game with Fini and Glastrier in the back. So it was a definitive game plan against Coalossal, and from us not bringing Coalossal, that already gave us an advantage because all of their tools were to deal with one specific Pokemon that I didn't even really play around. This is a really interesting Diggersby set, by the way. Very cool. So, like, in a best of 3, one adjustment you could make if you're my opponent is you could actually lead the same thing and then bait me into Phantasmi and switching in Diggersby. That'd be really interesting, but something like Thundurus plus Diggersby would be really interesting as well, right? Because then you can just max the Thundurus, and then, like, Airstream EQ, stuff like that. So, oh, wow, and it was Weakness Policy Incineroar as well. A lot of interesting stuff on this team. Fortunately for us, they also didn't ally switch turn 1, so yeah, they were just going all in, hoping they could survive turn 1 and then go from there. But that's really cool because you can see the Dusclops plus Incineroar combination, meaning that Incineroar actually turns into a really viable max option. And very few people, when they see Incineroar Dusclops, expect the Incineroar to actually be able to pressure and have, like, any offensive output. I certainly didn't when I saw that lead combo, so yeah. Anyway, we definitely net a couple fun wins. Yeah, like I said, this team is just really, really consistent, and so that's the main reason I wanted to feature it. But Physical Coalossal was really cool. That first game was a good demonstration of how people just don't expect Physical Coalossal, and it being physical basically single-handedly won us the game. That being said, like I said, in game 1, I still had a better play to make. Like, in games 1 and 2, I definitely did not play perfectly. Like, we got bailed out in game 1 in the sense that, like, things could have gone really poorly, but fortunately my opponent didn't make, like, the scariest play in turn 1. But you never want to gamble the game away on the first turn of the game. And then in game 2, we were, like, we had the game more or less wrapped up, but I had an even better play to make that would have, like, decreased any potential RNG. You always want to think about ways that you can mitigate losing by bad luck when you're in those end game scenarios. And in this third game, we just had a very decisive lead early on. Not much my opponent could have done. The best thing they could have done, I think, was protect Fini and then hope for a... It's actually to protect Fini and then crit. You'd have to protect Fini and actually get the knockout onto the Rillaboom slot, like Hailstorm, as I switch out into Rillaboom. That's a really, really hard play to make. And even if they make that, it's not like it guarantees them the win. But it certainly then puts you in a more winning position. I think it's still tough, though, because then the question is, like, your Fini shouldn't one-shot Coalossal, right? So then I can just Shadow Ball and Rock Slide and probably still be fine, or even Hyper Beam Rock Slide. But... Like that third game wasn't actually like a guaranteed win, and things could have gotten scary. But it's a really, really hard play to make something like that, right? Like to Is it really hard, actually? Like, maybe not, because Glastrier, like, switching in Rillaboom seems really likely if I have it in the back. But I think it's not like we would have guaranteed loss from that position, but the game definitely would have been tougher. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thanks so much as always for watching. Thanks to Jude for the team. Details in the description below. Thank you to you all as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day. Hope you enjoyed the rain ASMR. Sorry if the background sounds were distracting, but I don't think it was too bad. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.